Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
For newcomers and old-timers alike, the Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success. What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can we prevent illness, see the signs of disease before it's too late, and care for our birds through ill health? What light does behavioral science shed on their nature, needs, and hopes? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions? How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. How much freedom do you give them? What happens if you form a bond of trust with them? Watch and see what understanding their true nature can do for you. Come with us on a journey as we do more than examine a parrot's world. We live in it. Make some popcorn and bring in a few wood blocks. Let everyone have something to chew and a comfortable place to perch. Cockatude is a presentation of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
Hi, and welcome to Cockatude 56, Protecting Your Parrot. Right, guys? Right now, whoa, Bob, be nice. Be nice. Be nice. Right now, I'm sure Lucy's saying, the best way to protect me is to let me sit somewhere else. She's getting better about being in a room full of birds, so aren't you, girl? Aren't you, baby? I recently had one of our viewers ask if we could run through the gamut of things that you do to protect your bird in this world. And I'm sure the birds will make it fun. What? Hello? Hello? Oh, you almost pooped on me there. Yeah. Not that you were trying to, but it was close there for a second, Bob. Yeah. But before we get into that, this is Lucy. We're starring Lucy here, who's a new bird for us, aren't you, Lucy? And then we got Babaloo. Babaloo. Peaches. Peachy girl. Pippa. 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 And then we got Lorelei. Hi, Lorelei. And Coco. Coco. Hi, Lorelei. And Sugarbird. Sugarbird. What you doing up there? Pretty girl. And Salamander. Salamander. You can hear in the background, you hear someone squawking. That's Cecil. He is apparently aware that we're doing something back here. Unfortunately, he gets a little too crazy around her. He doesn't try to hurt her, but he gets a little too crazy. She can't take it. And right now we want Pippa and we want Lucy to feel comfortable. So Chloe's out of the room. And Snowball and Cecil, they're out of the room because it's a little bit much for this one. She's getting used to birds though, so she's coming around, aren't you, girl? So since we were requested to talk about protecting your parrot, there's a lot of stuff that you need to do to protect these guys. One of the most important things is to take your bird to the avian vet once a year at least, and to do a physical exam. I think you should do it every day. You can learn to do a physical exam fairly quickly. We have a video on that. So if you do a physical exam every day, it's all right, sweetie. It's all right. She just wanted to come down. She wasn't trying to get you. She wasn't. She wouldn't try to get you. No, she doesn't do that to you. No. So we have a video on doing a physical exam. And you can run through it pretty quick. You check the nares, you check the eyes, you check the skin, you check the wings. Just run down their body, you check their feet. You can do that in the morning when you're just first getting them out, and kind of make it a plaything too, so you can make it fun. It's fun when we check your wings, isn't it? And it's fun when we check your feet, right? She's learning that it's fun to do this stuff, aren't you, girl? Yeah, so you make it part of your morning thing to just check their poop. You need to check their poop every day and their weight, because these guys hide illness. So if you're not checking their weight, you're asking for a problem. If you're not checking their poop, you're asking for a problem. Because unlike other animals that may come up and you can tell that they're sick, these guys will do everything they can to conceal it. In the wild, a sick bird is a bird that gets attacked by a predator. So they will instinctively hide their illnesses. It's Bob. That's Bob. Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need to go out of the room, or are you going to be all right? You going to be all right, sweetheart? It's okay. I'm right here. I'm right here. Yes, I am. I'm right here. It's okay. Bob, you're not going to eat what's in my pocket, please. And why don't you play with Lorelai? So, and the thing is too, when you go to your avian vet, there's a few things you should do. You should take your weight chart so they can see where your bird's weight has been, you know, if there's a drop or if there's an increase. Now there's another thing too, if you got a female and that weight's going up, well, she may be producing an egg. If for some reason that egg is stuck and won't come out, you need to be aware of it. So when you see a rapid rise in weight and it levels off and stays there, that might be a physical problem you need to address. They may have an egg that's actually locked into them that needs to be brought out. But take pictures of the environment, pictures of the cage, an example of the food you're feeding them, so that you can, like, this is the first time you go, right? You want to do that. You may want to do this for every visit to the vet, so the vet has an idea of what consistency you're providing as far as food, the cage environment. What does the room look like? We hope you will consider supporting us on Patreon today. We produce up to 2 videos a month. As a patron, you pledge to give us a donation, whatever you feel is right and meets your budget. Patreon gives us your gift monthly. You can easily set a limit on how much you donate a month. You can change the amount of your pledge at any time. Your gift will allow us to continue bringing you entertaining and informative videos. Patreon.com/Chloe Sanctuary. We look forward to your participation in Cockatude. What does the room look like that they're in? You know, all that kind of stuff is important. So Hi, baby. And discuss any problems you may have had physically with a bird. Some vets know a little bit about, reward training and behavior. Some don't. So if your vet knows a little bit of behavior analysis or they're familiar with reward training, you may have some things to discuss. Keep a journal too. It's important. If you keep a journal, you see a problem with the bird's foot, write it down so that when you go to the vet, if it's nothing critical that has to be dealt with right now, you can bring it up and say, oh, my bird had this problem, or I've seen this change here or there. So journals are important, along with weight charts, keeping a weight chart. If you see anything unusual sometimes when those wings hit you in the eye, it's painful. Hi there, cutie. How are you doing? Yeah, I know, baby. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right, Pippa. So anything that you see that's a change, you need to be able to bring it up with your vet. You know, the poop is changed. Now, if you're looking down and you're seeing a big change in poop, and this goes on for the entire day, let's say that their diet hasn't changed, but all of a sudden you see a change in color, and this is consistent over a 24-hour period, then they need to go to the vet right away. If you see a difference in the 3 constituent elements of the poop, you have more of the urine, which is the clear liquid, or you have more of the urates, which is the usually either white or almond-colored liquid, or you see that they have diarrhea, which would be, instead of having those little tubes of poop in there, it's all broken up. If you see a consistent problem with this throughout the day, once or twice, if it's off, that happens. But if you see it consistently bad, take them straight to the vet. One of the most important things is to have a good relationship with an avian vet, and a second or third if possible. If your vet's out of town, you want to have another vet that's already seen your bird in case there's a problem. Come here, not eating the door, come here. Come on, Pippa. Come on, Pip. Hi, Pippi. Hi, Pippi Longstockings. What are you doing, you silly bird? What you doing? What you doing? Now, I don't actually kiss these birds on the face because of E. coli. And a friend of mine who's a paramedic, he was saying, well, E. coli doesn't come out of our mouths. And I said, well, then you must be meticulous when you're in the bathroom, right? You're sure that you wash your hands good enough and you never touch your lips? Because E. coli is something we live with, and it's not something they live with. It's not in their system. You may transmit it from one point to another. So I'll talk about that more later. But basically, the solution for that is nitrile gloves. Get away from the door, please. Come here. Come on. Get away from the door. You're not eating the door. Come on. Come on. Now, let go of the blanket. Let go of the blanket. Let go of the blanket. This one, when she gets her feet around something, she doesn't let go. Now, she's had lead poisoning. She actually swallowed a piece of lead that had to be surgically removed. So she does things a little bit different than other birds. She makes sounds. She doesn't speak, but she makes sounds. She makes little whistling sounds. Yeah, you do, don't you, baby? She'll get onto some behavior like trying to chew on the door, and you have to break her free from it. She holds on tight and doesn't want to let go. Right, baby? But she's really cute, aren't you, Pippa? You're a good girl. Yes, you are. So anyway, the important thing is to have a good relationship with the vet. So let's go through... Whoa. Let's go through the issues that can cause physical harm to your bird first, okay? In the show notes, I will have links to lists of things like safe perches, unsafe types of wood, poisonous food, that kind of thing. That'll all be in the show notes, links to those things. If I were to actually try to list everything that is dangerous to your bird and everything that is safe, I could start talking now and probably just keep talking until the end of the video. And it would be boring because I would say, this is good, this is not good, and it would go on through the whole thing. So those will be in the show notes. We'll talk about some basic physical things that can harm first. Caca. We call it caca. Caffeine, avocados, chocolate, and alcohol. Those are 4 big things that can kill your bird. And when you're thinking about, just in general, when you're thinking about things that could possibly harm your bird or whether they're safe, you want to ponder those items by imagining them with that item, and then try to be creative and think of different things they could do with it. It can save you some hassles, and by becoming more creative, it helps your mind expand so that you can think of new ways to entertain them too. So now, if you have any doubt, when let's say you're looking at your bird and you notice that there's a discoloration on the tongue, and you run through what they have in their cage. Let's say that the tongue is red for some reason. You run through and they have a toy in there that's got a red block on it, a red piece of wood. You can take and maybe make your finger a little wet and go against it and see if that red comes off. Try to figure out what it is, but if you can't 100% know exactly what caused the problem, get them to the vet. Just do it. Just take them to the vet right then. It's better safe than sorry. The one thing you don't want to do is wait. And one of our vets actually said that one of the things he hates the most about seeing birds is a lot of people will bring their birds in when they're already dying. So a bird that's been sitting on the bottom of the cage for a day is probably already dying. So you need to catch it before then, hence the weight, checking their weight and checking their poop. By the time they get on the bottom of the cage and they're just sitting there, salamander, I'm not going to start that now, Bob. That's a good sound. I love that sound. You can make that again, Sal. Very pretty. Good boy. That's right. Good boy. Good boy, Sal. Oh, that's a good boy. Bob, you be nice to Pip. Okay, you be nice to the Pippa. She's your species anyway. Yeah. So by the time your bird's sitting on the bottom of the cage and looking like it's sick, it's all over. In most cases, those birds are going to go to the vet and then go straight to necropsy to see why they died. So that's why you want to make sure that you check all the vitals every day. Now, other things that can put them in harm's way. There are certain types of toys that are dangerous. Any toy where they can get their neck caught in it. I remember one day when Snowball, hi sweetheart, hi boy, where Snowball got his head in a loop, and then get over here now. Get over here. Get over here. Making that sound. Once you start that, there's no shutting you up. So here you go. You don't want you making that awful sound. You sit right here. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right, sweetie. It's okay. I got you. There's a boy. Good boy. What's she doing? Hi, Lorelai. What's going on, Bob? Is she dancing up there or what? What are you doing, Pip? So toys that have loops they can get their necks caught in, you don't want. And this Snowball got his head caught in a little basket. Good girl.
Peaches is an amazing personality. Her daily maintenance requires dedication and mindfulness. She requires 2 forms of medicine, 7-course meals, and effort to entice her to eat. Extensive preening every day, special tools to trim nails, constant attention to her vocalizations, daily walks, and twice yearly checkups due to the possibility of impacted feather follicles and the nature of her spinal injuries. It seems a common misconception among the general public that parrots are like toys in a toy box. Nothing could be further from the truth. They are complex creatures. Recently, scientific studies have shown them to be at least as intelligent as chimpanzees. Every captive parrot needs special humans who will dedicate themselves to understanding them, those who know their species as it lives in the wild. Special people that understand their social, mental, and physical needs. They need to be understood for what they are, and not as merely human companions, as circus performers to bring smiles. Peaches needs all this and more. She is our special girl. Will you help us care for Peaches? Please make a donation today at our website, chloesanctuary.org. That's spelled CHLOESANCTUARY.org. As a special thank you for your donation, we will joyfully send you a postcard with Peach's happy face.
Ropes that fray. You have rope purses. Coco. Coco. Hi, baby. Hey, leave her alone, Bob. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. What are you doing? Rope perches can fray, and they can get their feet caught in the fray, and they can then get entangled, and once they get entangled, they can freak out, and that can cause them to get seriously hurt. You could lose a limb, or worse, so that's something to keep an eye on. You're not going up there, because I know what you're going to do. You're not going up there, little girl. You're not. Come here. You can stay here, but you're not going up there. No. No, you're not. Excuse me. I'm going to put you down there for a second. Bob, get off my foot. Come here. Come on. Hello. Are you sure about that? All right, that's Bob. It's all right. Pippa. Bob. Come here, Pippa. Come on, Pippa. Come on. Come on, Pippa. No, not going. Get off there, Bob. Bob? Babaloo? No? Bob?
Hello. Hello.
Hello, silly. Babaloo. Okay, the little bells that you'll see put on the ends of toys, they have a clacker inside there, and they have a clacker inside, and if that clacker comes out, if they pull the clacker out, there's a little loop inside the bell where the clacker hangs from. A bird, a hookbill, can get that hook, that upper mandible, inside there, and they can't get it out. So you need the bells that are long. They have these long tubular bells where the clacker is way up inside. These are the ones they can't pull the clacker out on. Or even if they did, they can't reach inside. So any wood should be dyed, not painted. And it's best if the dye doesn't come off. If the dye comes off when it gets wet, and your birds dip it, they pull the wood off and they dip it into their water, then it can get into their water. And who knows where these toys are made? Most toys are made in either the Philippines or China. So I've stopped dyeing them, but there are some ways you can dye them. You can use food coloring, and that's safe for them. And there's a process where you can dye them yourself. These guys like playing cards and they chew on them, but I don't get the ones from China. Not that everything from China is terrible, but bicycle cards are good, and they're well made, and none of the dyes or anything come off while they're chewing on them, and they like to play with them. So I think cards make a good toy, don't they? You like cards, don't you? Don't you? Yes, you do, little Pippa. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, little Pippa. You're kind of out of sorts today, aren't you, girl? Yeah. I don't know what you're doing. Also, when we're talking about toys, if you go to bird stores and buy toys, again, you have feather dust and the dust from fecal matter that can carry disease. Proventricular dilation disease, or called PDD, or beak and feather disease, or Bob. Boy, they're just getting off. I said to get off there, and you won't do it, will you? You just keep getting over there and chewing on it. Get it further out of the way. They don't want you over there chewing on the ottoman, okay? All right, you need to get off that arm and over here, you silly bird. Boy, you're just all over the place today, aren't you, sweetie? Aren't you? No, you're not going for the cameras. Get up here. Get over here. Bob, get over here. Now, that's my boy. Whee! That's my boy. Good bird. Good bird, Bob. Good bird. So if you're buying toys, be sure you buy them from a supplier that doesn't have birds at their store. So you buy it from a place that carries toys and carries perches or whatever for birds, but doesn't carry birds. Also, foraging toys are great. You have toys like you put an almond, you wrap it in paper, but how long is it going to sit there? So if you have foraging toys, you need to take them out. For example, if you take and wrap an almond in a piece of paper and you put it in their cage, be sure you take those out every day and throw them away and put new ones in. You don't want to have anything getting old in there. The older it gets, the more chance for mold. Don't let them play with prescription bottles. You don't want to teach them that it's okay to play with a prescription bottle, because you never know when they'll find a real prescription bottle with some medicine in it, and the next thing you know, you've got a dead bird from eating something that poisons it. So, no prescription bottles. In general, anything their toenails can catch on or their beaks can get caught in. So, if you look at something, just look at it and say, well, their head could get stuck in here. What if that frays? They could get their foot caught in there and might lose a toe or a toenail or a foot. Analyze it that way. Chain. We use like 2mm chain. It's hard for them to get their nails in there the way we keep them cut. But again, if their nails are sharp and even 2mm chain, they could get that nail in there, then they could get it stuck, and who knows, they lose a toe or break a leg. So try to learn to look at things for the danger they could be. An example is we use these carpets on the floor. If they get frayed, we have to cut that fray off. Because if there's any strings they can catch their feet in, that's a hazard. Now in here, they're not loose on their own. They're always going to be observed. But even still, we try to keep those frayed carpets to a bare minimum. because it can be a real problem. Are you doing okay up there now, Pippa? You calm down, you okay? Now, quickly. Hold on, I gotta go get him. He's gonna start that again. Come here. Come here. I'm not gonna put up with that sound. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come here. Come on. We're not putting up with that sound. No, we're not. Come here. That's a boy. It's okay. Sit right here. You're okay. Pippa.
Hello.
Yeah, they're just not making it easy for me to do this one today. Everybody's got some kind of agenda going. Yeah, including you big monster. You big boy. You're a good boy. You know that? You know you're a good boy? Yeah, I thought you knew that. Pippa, you're a good girl too. No running around, okay? So it's okay to use a quick link if you've got a bird that takes its food bowls and throws them out. Some of these stainless steel bowls can just be secured with a quick link. You just put the quick link over the edge of the bowl, past the little part of the hanger or the bowl holder, and cinch it down. If you use a C-clamp or anything that has sharp threads, you can end up getting them to cut their feet. If they get their foot caught in there, they can cut their feet. Bob, get over here. Step up. Come on, Bob. Bob, come here. Come here. Step up. So, yeah, do you think it's funny, huh? Yeah, you're just having a good old time with that. No, we're not eating the door. We're not eating the door. No, we're not, Pippa. We would prefer you didn't eat the door. So anything that has a sharp edge that you're going to put in their cage especially can be a problem. But even if it's just around the house and they get to where they're playing it, that can be an issue. Also, if you trim your bird's wings, and I prefer not to do that, or if you have a bird that can't fly, like Salamander who has a twisted pelvis, or Peaches who has fused vertebrae in her neck, come here. No, you're not going to do that. Boy, she's just focused on that door. Come here. You're not doing that. No. You're just tearing this whole place up today, aren't you? No, you're not going to go over there and eat the door. You tell her. You tell her, Lorelei. So anything that has a sharp edge is a dangerous thing. If they can get their feet caught in it or their beak caught in it. But you also have to have food and water in the cage. So if we're talking about cages now, as far as I'm trying to keep this in order, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it because they just keep getting my attention. Well, I'll try to cover as much as I can under the circumstances. But if you have a bird that, where was I? If you have a bird that can't fly for one reason or another, then you have another issue, which is a bird on the floor. And we humans usually aren't light, even the lighter, the lightest people you might know might be close to 100 pounds, but 100 pounds stepping on a 2-pound bird can kill it or maim it. So if your bird can't fly, you want to teach them as much as possible not to be on the floor, give them the widest latitude anywhere else, and restrict the floors they're walking on the floor. So, for example, if Coco over there gets on the floor and I come walking into the room, she'll start walking towards me and trying to get my attention. And part of that is I made a point of getting her to give me attention whenever she's on the floor. I think she knows that I don't like her down there, but she'll come over and I'll pick her up. So what happens, she's on the floor, I enter the room, she'll walk over for me to pick her up. So that's what I taught her to do. So the floor is a dangerous place for these guys. Now the other thing that's on the floor, you have electrical cords. And what I do is I buy these appliance cord protectors. They're made out of aluminum and they're corrugated, and you can break them down and cut off ends. We have to use something. You have to use shears to cut them, but you can cut them down to size. And then what I do is I cut the electrical cord and I put a new end on it, so that I now have this protection that keeps them from being able to get to the cord. Not that they can't get to things they want to. So then I try to hide that behind things so that the chances of them getting to that are very small. They're good though. These guys are good about getting into things. So electrical cords are a danger. Now, even things like phone chargers, that's a really small wire, and there's not much electricity passing through them, like the lightning cords for the iPhone, that kind of thing. But inside there are fine wires. Now, if they start chewing on that, these little fine copper wires could get into their system and actually puncture the lining of their esophagus or damage their internal organs. So you want to keep them away from those kind of things. Make sure you have that out of the area where they can't get to them. And they're good about getting to things. So although they're also good about learning where they can and can't be, these guys will mostly avoid the computer area. Although they're allowed to some areas close to it, they're not allowed in certain areas around that computer. And the way they got taught that was when they got in those areas, I would pick them up and move them away. And after a while, they just get tired of being moved away. Right, baby? Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you doing? You're not going to go over there and get the door. No. No. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. No. 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 Come here, sweetheart. Pippa, it's all right. Oh, it's okay, Pippa. It's all right, Pippa. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay, little girl. Exit doors are an issue. Clipped or unclipped, it doesn't matter. Actually, it's worse if they're clipped because the bird can still fly when it's clipped. It just doesn't have any control. So you want to make sure that they can't get out the door. And that usually means that the rooms you have them free in don't have any access to the outside. So we don't open the front door for that reason here. Dramatic changes in temperature. If you're going from an air-conditioned home, which is 70 degrees, outside where it's 95, their lungs don't work the way our lungs work, and it could shut down their ability to breathe. The same thing with drops in temperature. If you're in a house that is 70 degrees and you're going outside and it's 45, the rule of thumb, a change in temperature of more than 15 degrees is a problem. So many birds have survived. I've read one gentleman who was saying, he didn't believe that the temperature drop was a problem because he took his birds into the snow. Well, that's like taking a gun and putting one bullet in it and spinning the chamber. It's possible the lungs may not be affected by the drop in temperature on some occasions. On another occasion, it may actually shut down their ability to breathe. Come here. Come here, Pippa. Come on. Boy, you're just out of control this day today, aren't you? Come on, sweetheart. What's the matter? You're tearing up the whole place. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come here. Come on. You're just tearing up the whole place, aren't you? Come and sit on my chest. Boy, she's got a grip too, boy. She just grips a whole... No, don't be going after her feathers. It's all right, Pippa. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah. You're a good girl. Kissed her on the head, not on the beak. You need to make sure that their food and water is secure and available. As I was saying before, some birds will knock their food and water out. I had that issue with Cecil, and I used a C-clamp to hold him in, and he lost his nail on one toe because his foot got caught. What a mess that was. But we're lucky his nail has decided to grow back in. And the quick links work really well to hold his bowls in now, but he loves to throw his food and water bowls. And they need that. If something happens to you, even if you're married and you drive off, you could both die in an automobile accident. And if they've knocked their food out of their cage and nobody shows up for a couple of days, then you could have a dead bird. So your best bet is to always make sure that they have food and water that they can't knock out of their cage. And as far as food goes in the cage, you want to make sure that there's no mold, and you want to keep the cage clean. You want to use paper on the bottom of the cage. Make sure you change that paper every day. If it gets really messy, you could change it more than once in a day. The water needs to be changed minimum of twice a day. 3 times is better. If it's dirty when you look at it, change it. That's another rule too. Along with changing it at least twice a day, you want to change it if it's dirty. So if you look in there and see they've dumped a bunch of stuff in their water, just change it. Right? Right? Now we've heard about, a lot of people have heard about aflatoxin. And what that is a particularly vicious organism that can kill your bird. So it's not just peanuts, though. You hear people talk about how you shouldn't feed peanuts in the shell to your bird. It can come in walnuts. It can come in rice. It can come in wheat. It can come in wheat flour. So the key there is it's actually moisture that causes the problem. If you're growing peanuts where it's not moist all the time, it's all right, Peach. It's all right, Peaches. It's all right, baby. If you're growing peanuts where it's not moist all the time, or moist when they're harvesting, and you don't have that moisture inside the shell, then you're probably not going to develop aflatoxin. One thing I can tell you that I came up with that works pretty well is to buy these silica gel packs. I get them on Amazon. I get 30 of the 10-gram silica packs. It's $10 for those. And what I do when I open a new thing of whatever it is, papaya or banana chips or whatever, as I open, I throw in a silica pack to absorb the moisture so that mold and bacteria has less of a chance of growing in there. The more moisture there is, the better things grow. So that's one solution, is buying the silica packs. Don't use old ones that come in. Don't use old silica packs that you got with something else that were in your vitamins or that were, in some other thing that you bought, because those have already absorbed the liquid. Okay, so you need to get something fresh. Use new ones. I like to be as thrifty as the next guy, but it doesn't make much sense to use an old silica pack to absorb moisture because it's already done that job. Okay, and who knows what else it's absorbed. So better to use a new one. Don't buy food too that's in bulk. You shouldn't buy your food from stores that have birds. And the reason for that is, or even if they don't have birds, if they do trimming and that kind of thing, no, you're not going to go up there because you're just causing trouble. No. So if they do trimming in there, then you've got the dust in the air. The dust carries the disease, and that means that if you're going into that place, that dust is in the air. It's getting in that bin. Now, living with these birds, you can imagine the dust that's in this place, and it gets into everything. It's gotten into my printer, and the printer thinks that there's no paper in it because the sensor that detects the paper can't detect it anymore. So that dust is getting into everything. And if you open a bin and take food out of there that's loose in bulk, then you're getting potential disease with it as well. So that's one way to avoid getting that. Make sure that you buy things that are in packages and sealed, nothing that's in bulk. Now with cages cleaning on a daily basis, you can clean with a little bit. If the birds are out of the room and you have good ventilation, you can use like a 10% chlorine and water solution to clean the cage, as long as the birds are not in the room. No, we're not walking on that. No. Pippa, get off that. You're just all over the place, little Pip, today, aren't you? It's all right. It's all right, I got her. I don't know, Pippa. You're just having a day, aren't you? She was so calm before we put the cameras out. She was just sitting and playing and, hanging on me and walking around with me. Put the cameras out, and now, hey. And now she's just into everything. Aren't you, girl? So, avoid the bulk food and buy things that are in bags. Put in the silica gel once you open it to take moisture out. And that'll help a lot. If you want to use peanuts, I don't feed them peanuts in the shell. Make sure you have silica gel in there to suck out any moisture. if you're going to feed any kind of anything that's in the shell. You should do the same with grains if you're storing grains, because moisture in grains can equal aflatoxin, right? Yeah, they can. And other diseases too, you know. Moisture is necessary for bacteria to grow and mold to grow, so. All right? That's another thing too. If you're living in an older home and it has stucco walls, they tend to pick up moisture, so it's a good idea to use a dehumidifier in the house to pull the moisture out. Especially when you're in rainy season, that kind of thing, to keep moisture down, because you don't want mold. Mold spores can definitely affect these guys. They don't have the same protection in their lungs that we do. If they did, they couldn't fly because they couldn't get enough oxygen. Right? Right. Tell them, Sal. Tell them, Sal. Now, if you're going to take them outside, you should have them in an aviator harness. I say aviator harness because it's the only safe one I've ever seen. There are other ones that have little catches and latches and things you got to hook them on. No, because they can get caught in that. And the aviator comes with a CD. It tells you how to put it on. And with a little bit of practice, you can do that. All the birds here, she hasn't had one on her yet. And neither has this one. But every other bird here is familiar with the aviator. They get into them and out of them, no problem. So, now other birds. That's an issue. Let's say you have a friend who has a bird. Is that bird vetted? Has it been tested for psittacosis? Has it been tested for beak and feather disease? And now, obviously not all parrots get that, but cockatoos and lovebirds and budgergars can all carry it. So you need to make sure the bird's been tested for disease. And even if they have, there can be behavior problems between birds. They may not get along. What that really comes down to is territoriality. So if you have a bird that's territorial and you bring another bird in, there may be issues. There may be fights. I go through that whenever we get a new bird in here. Okay? Right now, she's being a little territorial. She's just keeping her little area over here protected. I would say she's got about a foot circle around her she's protecting. This one doesn't seem to have much in the way of territoriality at all. Yeah? You sure about that, Bob? Are you positive? Okay. I guess you are. Also, watch to make sure that the visiting bird doesn't go into the resident bird's cage and start throwing out all of its food. They'll do that. And possibly getting into the water supply. Another thing that can get into the water, if you've got dogs or cats or any other predator animal, their saliva is nasty and it can kill a bird. If a bird's bitten by a dog or cat, they need to go straight to the vet. If there's any doubt at all, they need to go straight to the vet and get on Baytril or some antibiotic to protect them just in case. If they drink out of the bird's water, or the bird drinks out of a cat bowl or dog bowl, or eats out of their food bowl, that can possibly kill them, or at least make them sick. So you definitely don't want that to happen. So you got to keep the two animals separated in a lot of ways, not just in a threatening situation, but also there as far as their water and food. And the other thing about pets, obviously predators could just all of a sudden decide to attack a bird. They can misread each other's signals and something can happen. So it's best not to have them around predators if you can avoid it. The worst one, the absolute worst, any rodent can be a problem. If you have a rat, they could attack your bird. But if you have a ferret, you don't want a bird. Because ferrets, they're really good about getting out of their cages and they just naturally attack birds. And I've heard of quite a few people who've had that problem. So, and generally the bird does not survive a ferret attack. You wouldn't think so because they're just kind of silly looking creatures, and they've been, ferrets have been, actually, they're one of the animals that have been domesticated the longest. They have to eat a certain type of diet or they get sick. They don't usually survive on their own if they get out of the captive situation, but they're just bad about attacking birds. So poisons. Chlorine. I was talking about cleaning cages before and I got distracted by the birds. Imagine that. But cleaning cages, normally you want to use something like poop off just to clean it. To sterilize it, you can use a 10% chlorine and water, so like 1 part chlorine to 9 parts of water. That's when the birds are not in the room and you have the windows open and you can flush it out. If your birds are in that room, you don't want to use that. Another thing for like cleaning cages, if you get a used cage, there's a product, My Mango, it's called Pet Focus. Nasty stuff. Doesn't smell bad, but you gotta be careful. You don't want that around your birds. So clean the cage outside with it, hose it off, go back, clean it with poop off, and then bring it in the house. And that particular product is supposed to kill most of the, we hope, kill the viruses and the bacteria that may be coming your way. So, other things, Carpet Fresh. The company refuses to put a warning on their product, and it says safe for pets. It is not safe for birds. If you use Carpet Fresh and as soon as you, hey, leave it. That's not nice. That's not nice. Bob, no. Don't do that, Bob. I just tapped him to get his attention. You stop doing that to Bob. Come on. You're a handful. Now I got Bob. Bob can't stand me without my glasses. Ever since that time when I shaved off my beard, if I take off my glasses, he has a fit. I had a feather caught on my glasses, so. Bob, oh, hello, Bob. You're a good boy. Yes, you're a good boy. And you're a good boy, too, Miss Salamander. You're being good, sweetheart. And you too, little one. I hear you, Coco, baby girl. I hear you. So basically you don't want to use chlorine to clean everything unless, as I said, no birds are in the room and you've got free airflow. The stuff can choke me, let alone these guys. Once they get that chlorine in their lungs, they aren't going to be able to breathe. It'll stop their breathing. Coco bird. Hello, baby. Hello, baby. That's right. Hello, baby. Yeah, they aren't going to be able to breathe with chlorine, so stay away from cleaning products. I clean mostly with bait. Hi, guys. I clean mostly... I scrub with baking soda. And I use vinegar to clean things up. Now, vinegar is not going to sterilize anything, okay? So if you're trying to sterilize something, vinegar is not going to do that job for you. But as far as just, basic cleaning, it works well. Like if you're doing the floors, it'll clean up a lot of the sludge off the floor. So it works well for that. If you're going to sterilize, again, sterilizing, you can do it with the Pet Focus and you can do it with chlorine, but both of those are noxious to them, so they can't be around while you do it. Okay? And two, when you have, back to food, because I'm all over the place, because I've got such active birds here getting my attention. I can't imagine how that could be. Although you notice she's calmed down now. I've just kept bringing her back to center, bring her back to... It's like tennis. When you're playing tennis, you run to one side of the court and back to the center, run one to the... That's what I've been doing with her, just kind of bringing her back to center, bringing her here, until she finally calms down. She was fine before the cameras came out, so that was probably what set her off. Right, little girl? You're such a good little girl. Yes, you are. Now you hear a lot of talk, we're back on food here. If you hear a lot of talk about how bad sunflower seeds, I even heard one woman's, her bird had passed away, and she said, oh, those sunflower seeds, they killed them. Well, it wasn't just the sunflower seeds. I mean, it's a contributing factor if you're feeding food that doesn't have much food value, a lot of fat in it and no food value. Sunflower seeds are fine, and if you're giving them 5 or 6 a day, it's no big deal, right? I always give them the roasted ones, but no salt roasted type. They can have, you know, 4 to 6 sunflower seeds a day. It's not going to kill them. But you want to make sure that they have their pellets and you know, either Rowdy Bush or Harrison's pellets. And they get a few little treats. They can have a little banana chip, a little bit of papaya, but you don't want them just eating their treats and not and leaving the pellets. The pellets are the key to their diet. So, right? Another thing that can be a hazard is chop. There was a lady who came up with this idea, and it got spread all over the place, that you just cut up a bunch of vegetables and greens and stuff and freeze it. Well, if you're not going to blanch them, according to the University of Virginia has instructions on how you're supposed to do that. It's the National Center for Food Preservation. If you look up National Center for Food Preservation, it'll tell you how long you have to steam each vegetable in order to freeze it. And if you don't do that, then bacteria, mold will attack the food and degrade the quality very quickly. So I don't suggest that you do chop. Rather than that, you should actually preserve your food according to the instructions of the National Center for Food Preservation. Now on their mental health side, and we've been talking about physical health, but on the mental health side, you don't punish. Now, when I say don't punish, I'm talking about the common use of the word punish. As someone who practices applied behavior analysis, I do punish. But the word punish in ABA means to reduce or extinguish a behavior. So yes, I do punish that way. But as far as physical punishment or doing anything that, any kind of aversion treatment, so as to scaring them or hurting them or yelling at them in a negative way. It's okay to yell. These guys yell all the time. Their voices are loud. That doesn't bother them. But if you're yelling at them in a mean way, or you're being nasty to them in any way, punishing them for doing something, they don't take to that well. They do really well with reinforcement. They're not good about being mistreated. So if he tried to step over on me, and if I were to just push him away from me, you know, physically strongly push him away, he won't react well. In fact, he'll try to stay away from me if I keep doing that. That kind of corporal punishment or whacking a bird because it did something wrong, like you see people bap them on the beak, that doesn't do any good. And in fact, when they use their beak to bap something like this, that's usually mating behavior. So whapping them on the beak may not get you the response you think you're going to get. The other thing about mistreating them like that is it's positively reinforcing. Not to the bird, but to you. If it does stop them from doing something, then you will probably continue doing it because it reinforces your desire to do it. What are you going to do? Eat my ear? Go ahead. If you really want to eat my ear, go for it. Is that what you want? No? You're trying to climb up, I know. But why? Why are you trying to climb up? Well, tell me all about it. What's it all about? What's it all about? Oh, you're so silly. I don't want you up there because I know what you're going to do. Well, I've got a pretty good idea what you're going to do. So, as far as their mental health, they need a variety of toys. They need their toys changed out. So if you have more than one bird, you can move the toys from one cage to the next, as long as there's no disease. You can rotate the toys around the room. We do that. Give them a variety of toys, not always the same kind of toy. Stay away from Christmas ornaments, and what I mean by that is any toy that they can't tear apart. It's the same with perches too. You want a perch that they can chew on, not a perch that's always going to be there, like manzanita or dragonwood. They can't chew those, so it doesn't provide any kind of interest level for them at all. It's just a place to stand. And it's better if they can chew on things and they can modify them on their own, because that's what they do in the wild. So you want to keep it as much like the wild as possible. It's important that they have time out of their cage, and relatively the same amount of time each day. So they need to have, these guys will get out for 3 hours a day. Sometimes it's a little longer, sometimes it's a little shorter. I have broken it down to males and females normally now, except when I'm doing videos. Be nice to Peaches, okay? You all right, Peach? Okay. I know, he's got a big tail. He's a big boy. Yeah. I know, he's got his tail in your face. I'm sorry. Treat them as you would another human too. I mean, you don't really want him, I don't want his tail in her face, because I wouldn't want that my way. You know, I wouldn't want that myself if I were her. So I try to make sure that I treat them with respect. If I bump into them, I say, excuse me. They don't understand the words, but they get the feeling. Oh, you're going to nibble on my hand? Did I bother you? I'm sorry. No, we're not eating the door. Come here. No. Come here. We're not eating the door. Come on back over here. Oh, Pippa. What is with you today? Oh, baby. Make sure they get enough time out. If they get some time out playing by themselves. Could you leave her alone, please? They get time playing out by themselves, and they get time playing with you. And if there's other birds, some time interacting, like what you see here, interacting with others. It's good for them to interact, right? You're doing better. Lucy's doing better. You're just all wound up. I don't know. Is there a key back here? Did I start twisting it? You're like a wound up toy. Yeah, you are. That's the Pippa I know. That's better. That's better. Yeah. That's the Pippa I know. Yeah. So you don't want to give them too little freedom. You don't want to give them too much. I've heard of people who just leave their birds out all day long in the house. That's too much freedom. There's too many things they can get into where they can get hurt. Plus, if we don't live that long compared to them, so when the bird has to go somewhere else because something happens to you, now it's used to a totally free environment, and then it finds itself in a cage. Then you can have some pretty sad behaviors there. Self-mutilation, basically trying to kill themselves. So you don't want that to happen, right, Pippa? Pippa, my voice is getting all scratchy. So, not too little freedom, not too much, and then try to be consistent. Relatively the same level of freedom every day. Occasionally, they can go out and have an experience in the outside world with you, but you want to try to be consistent so that each day they get roughly the same. It's when that consistency changes that a lot of problems develop. They're usually keyed on something that's already there. I mean, birds don't start ripping out their feathers because you go on vacation. Birds already have the tendency to do that because they've been hand raised. And then when you go on vacation and they don't see you for a week, they start ripping out their feathers. That's a good example of how these things can start. The root cause of it is being raised in an incubator and not knowing what they are. But other things come along that stimulate that response, and the next thing you know, they're cutting themselves up. So another thing that's psychologically damaging is improper petting. So I've had to grab her all over. I try to pet her on the head all the time. The same with this little one down here, Lucy. The birds I'm mated to, I'm a little less concerned about it with, like Bob and Sugar and Peaches. Peaches especially, because I have to preen her down below. She can't preen herself. She can't turn her neck to do it. So I have to preen all the way down her backside. But you have to be careful. It can be psychologically damaging to get mated to a bird, and the bird doesn't know how to deal with your... Uh-oh, what's going on here? Let me see that. Oh boy. Looks like she hurt herself when she was flying. She's got a little bit of a wound going right there in the joint. It's minor, it's just a little broken feather, but Pippa, be careful, don't hurt yourself, sweetie. So you don't want to give them a whole bunch of attention and then withdraw it. A lot of people, when they get a bird, they show it a whole bunch of attention for the first month or two, then they go back to their lives. They withdraw that attention, and then the birds fall apart. They either start screaming, or they start biting, or they start ripping out their feathers. So don't give a bunch of attention and then withdraw it. If they're making vocalizations and trying to get your attention, you're going to have to give them some attention at that time. The exception being, like when salamander's making a sound I don't want him to make, I will ignore that until he makes another a sound that I don't mind hearing, and then I'll reinforce that by giving him attention. So in that case, I'm training him, but he's going to get attention. The question is, his question is, which sound do I make to get the attention? So I'm not withdrawing attention, I'm withdrawing attention from one particular thing and giving it to another. And that helps to guide him into a different type of behavior. So he makes a sound I'm happier to hear. Be careful the people you have them around. Children especially can be dangerous. You know, they'll exhibit one positive behavior or treat the bird well when you're around, and when you walk out of the room they may treat them differently. Children are bad about that. We've all been kids. We know that if you give a child a BB gun, they'll go around shooting little animals and stuff. That's not normal behavior. Most adults won't do that. Some will, but so around kids, you want to totally supervise them. You don't want a child to spend a whole bunch of time getting attached to a bird. Get the bird attached to the child, because when the child grows up, it'll go off, wander off to try to get into human relationships. Now you got a bird that all of a sudden it has a mate, a human mate, and the mate's gone. So try to keep your kids from petting them improperly, and limit the amount of time your children have with a bird if you do have children. And other humans, when they come over, they need to show the bird respect and at least walk over and say hello to it. And you need to teach your humans to be nice to the birds too. That's important. It's good for their psychological health. Well, I know I haven't covered everything, and they've been busy enough to keep me from being able to keep my mind on what I'm doing. But as I say, I'll have more on our show notes and links to websites that list a lot of this stuff so you can look it up. And you're basically going to be dealing with making sure that they're vetted and that you check your birds every day to make sure they're healthy. The safety of their environment, their cage, the places they are allowed into, and their emotional health, the kind of things they're allowed to do, the kind of interactions they have with others, and the enrichments they have in their lives. So those are the three things you're going to focus on. And as I say, our show notes will have a lot of links to these things so you can look them up in great detail. And Pippa, you want to say goodbye? It looks like you do. Bob, are you going to say, how about you and how about the two Tritons? You guys want to say goodbye? Say goodbye to the people. That's it, folks. We'll see you next time. Yeah. Okay, guys. Lorelai, I gotta stand up. Thank you, Lorelai. All right, I gotta kill. Whoa! I've got a hitchhiker. Whoops, I'm sorry. Come on, hitchhiker. Come on. Come on, you can come up. Hi. Hello. Good girl. Okay, let's go. Terrible diseases like proventicular dead. We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatude@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @ChloeSanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.